all want to make a change, right? In our community, in the world, maybe even just in our own homes. And to do that, we usually rely on, well, common sense. But what if the one thing holding you back, your greatest adversary, is actually that common sense? Let's get into it. Okay, so take a look at these two posters. They're both trying to do the exact same thing, get people to stop littering. Poster A just shows you the problem, a big pile of trash. Poster B, on the other hand, shows a local hero, an Olympic runner, doing the right thing. So, what does your gut tell you? Which one is actually going to work, A or B? Lock in your answer because we are going to circle back to this at the very end once we've unpacked the science of what really makes people tick. And that brings us to this pretty shocking idea from social scientist Janie Cross. See, we think we're experts on humans because, well, we are humans, but our own intuition, our common sense, leads us down the wrong path all the time. So today, we're going to bust 3 of these common sense myths that just completely sabotage our efforts to create change. First up, the myth that if you just give people the right information, they'll change. I mean, it sounds so logical, doesn't it? If people only knew better, they'd do better. Well, it turns out that's almost never how it works. Yeah, there's a name for this flawed idea. It's called the information deficit model. Imagine this experiment where researchers gave homeowners this super detailed report on all the little cracks letting cold air into their houses. The thinking was, okay, now that they know about the problem, they'll fix it. And what happened when they gave them all that perfect data? A measly 20% of the homeowners actually did anything about it. 1 in 5. That is not a great result. So what happens when you change how you give them that information? So instead of just listing a bunch of tiny cracks and gaps, a different group of auditors did something brilliant. They added up all those small holes and then told the homeowner, you have a hole in your house the size of a basketball. Whoa. All of a sudden, the problem isn't just some abstract data on a piece of paper. It's real, it's visceral. I mean, a drafty window is easy to ignore. A basketball-sized hole in your wall? That sounds like an emergency. And get this, a whopping 60% of the homeowners who got that tangible, personal message went ahead and installed the weather stripping. Just look at the difference here. We are talking about a 3-fold increase in how effective it was, just by changing the presentation. The big takeaway here is this. It's not about the information itself. It's about making it tangible, making it personal, and delivering it through a real human conversation. The lesson is so clear. Make the information hit home. This works everywhere. For example, we humans are totally wired for loss aversion. We hate losing things way more than we enjoy gaining them. So telling people they're literally losing gallons of water from a leaky faucet is way more powerful than telling them how much they could save. The key is always to make it personal and immediate. Okay, let's move on to our second myth. And this one is a biggie. Common sense says that to change what someone does, you first have to change what they believe. You know, if you want someone to save energy, you gotta convince them about climate change first, right? Nope, wrong. Decades of research have shown that it's the exact opposite. A person's pro-environmental attitude does not predict whether they'll actually recycle or turn off the lights. It's kind of wild, but it's the other way around. Once people start doing something, their attitudes actually shift to line up with their actions. So, what do you do instead of getting into endless debates about attitudes? Well, 2 things. First, you just set clear expectations for the behavior. You know, think about your parents telling you to turn off the light when you leave a room. They didn't give you a lecture on the electrical grid, they just told you what to do. And second, you find a shared value that pretty much everyone can get behind. And this table is a perfect example of that. Let's say you're trying to get a community to approve new green buildings. That can get pretty political fast. Environmentalists will support it to, save the planet. But another group, let's call them frugal citizens, can also support it. Not for the planet, but because their core value is eliminating waste. They can't stand wasting money or time or resources. The real magic is finding the one word that unites both groups. And for them, that word is conservation. It speaks to the environmentalist who wants to conserve nature and to the fiscal conservative who wants to conserve money. You get the exact same behavior by appealing to totally different, but overlapping values. And you get to sidestep the whole argument about attitudes completely. Okay, this brings us to our final and maybe most humbling myth. We think we are the world's leading experts on our own minds. We're sure we know what motivates us, but the data says we're surprisingly bad at it. Let's put it to the test. We have all seen those little cards in hotel rooms, right? If you were in charge of writing one, what would you say is the absolute best way to get people to reuse their towels? Most of us have a very clear, confident answer. When you ask people, they almost always say the environmental message is the most motivating. It appeals to our better selves, right? But when researchers actually run the experiment, that message is only about half as effective as the other one. The message that actually really works is the one that simply tells you what other people are doing. So here it is. The single most powerful driver of our behavior is also the one we constantly, and I mean constantly, underestimate: social norms. We are so deeply influenced by what we see other people doing. We like to think we make our own independent choices, but the truth is, we are always looking around for cues on how to act. Street musicians know this. It's why they always put a few bills in their own guitar case to get things started. Okay, so now that we've busted these three big myths, you've got the tools. It's time to go back and solve the puzzle we started with. Let's reveal the real secret to making change happen. Let's go all the way back to our two posters. Poster A with a pile of trash, poster B with the respected local hero doing the right thing. Knowing what you know now, which one is the clear winner? If you picked B, you are absolutely correct. And it's not even a close call. Poster B works because it shows you the behavior you want to see, and it sets a positive social norm. Hey, people who care about this town put their trash in the bin. Poster A, on the other hand, is a total disaster. It actually sets a negative social norm. The hidden message is, look at all this garbage. Clearly, everybody litters here. It can actually make the problem worse. So here's the big takeaway. If you want to make real change, you've got to ditch common sense. Instead, you have to understand how people actually work. Make your information tangible. Focus on what people do, not what they believe, by appealing to their shared values. And never, ever underestimate the incredible power of social norms. That right there is the difference between failing and actually changing the world. This science is like magic. The only question is, what are you going to do with it? We all want to make a change, right? In our community,